Hey guys, so here's the notes for 5.5, really day 2. This is where we're going to be talking about complex fractions. Okay, so complex fraction, that's basically a fraction with a fraction in the numerator or denominator. So what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of do the similar thing when we added and subtracted, meaning that we're going to find the least common multiple or the least common denominator. And then what we're going to do is multiply the numerator and denominator of every fraction by it. Okay, so let's look at our example 7. So we're going to simplify. So we have 5 over x plus 4 all over 1 over x plus 4 plus 2 over x. Well, the first thing you should always do is factor the denominators of each fraction. So that should be always your first step. Okay. Now, our denominators are going to be x plus 4 and the x. Well, with the x plus 4 and the x, we really can't factor anymore, so we can't do that first step. Okay, well then our second step is to figure out our LCM, or least common denominator, or whatever you would like to call it there. Okay, so let's find the LCD. So the least common multiple, least common denominator, they mean the same thing. You might hear them used interchangeably, okay? So for our least common denominator, remember, anything we see in the denominators has to be part of our least common denominator. Now notice that there are two denominators that have an x plus 4. Well, because both of those denominators only have one of those, that's going to be part of our least common denominator. Now our other denominator has an x. So that needs to be part of our LCD as well. So I'm going to write it like this, x times x plus 4. Okay, now our next step here is going to multiply the numerators up by LCD. Multiply. That's a hard word to spell. Multiply all numerators. Yes, each numerator. Okay. Now this is where it's going to be changed a little bit different than what we did with adding and subtracting. With our adding and subtracting, we basically multiplied each fraction by what's missing. We're not going to do that here. We're actually going to multiply each numerator by the LCD, okay, the entire LCD. So we're going to take our 5 over x plus 4 and multiply that by the LCD. So x plus 4. Okay. Then we're going to do that with our second part here. So we're going to have our 1 over x plus 4, multiply that by x plus 4, and then our 2 over x, multiply that numerator by x and x plus 4. Now, when we talked about adding and subtracting, I said don't cancel things, okay, not until the very end. But here we are actually trying to take this complex fraction, meaning that we have a fraction in the numerator, a fraction in the denominator, so then we only have one fraction. So we have our numerator and denominator. So here we do need to cancel things out, and then we can combine like terms and do more canceling if necessary. Okay, so for our first part, which is the 5 over x plus 4, I'm going to see what can I cancel out. Well, that's going to be my x plus 4s, because I see one in the numerator and one in the denominator. So once I've done that, I now have just a 5x. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. Now be careful, because we do have this addition in between our two fractions, in between the 1 over x plus 4 and the 2 over x. So I can only cancel things out that is within that fraction. So our first one, I do see once again the x plus 4, that cancels out. So taking that part, I have just an x in the numerator, okay? While with the 2 over x, well, I see that they have an x in common. So I can cancel that out. Now what I'm left with is a plus 2 times x plus 4, okay? Okay, now that I've kind of simplified it, I now have my numerator and the denominator part. So now I'm going to put everything together. And I guess this could be your fourth. Put everything together. So my numerator, or my new numerator, is 5x, and my new denominator is x plus 2 times x plus 4. Now, I do actually need to, because I know we said, leave everything in factored form, but notice I do have some additions here, so I could combine like terms. So anytime we have things, we need to make sure we combine our like terms, okay? So the 5x just sits still because there's nothing else to combine it with. Now I have x plus 2x, and then 2 times 4 gives me 8, so plus 8. So in my denominator, I can combine the x and the 2x. Now I have 5x over 3x plus 8. Now we can see, can we simplify a little bit more? Unfortunately, we cannot. Now some of you might be thinking, can't we cancel out the 5x and 3x? No, it's because that 3x does have the plus 8 with it. The only time we could have maybe simplified is actually this was flipped. If we had multiple terms in the numerator and only one term in the denominator, then we could have simplified a little bit more. But otherwise, because we have multiple terms in the denominator, we cannot simplify. So, and we can't factor anything out. So 3x plus 8, we can't factor that anymore. So 5x over 3x plus 8 is going to be our final answer. Okay, make sure you guys work on the homework assignment, and if you have any questions, either from the 5.5 day 1 notes or from these notes here, make sure you contact me. I'll see you guys later.